Through the gift of faith, the church is mystically connected with Christ in his death and resurrection, which is enacted in holy baptism. As you therefore have received Christ Jesus the Lord, continue to live your lives in him, rooted and built up in him and established in the faith, just as you were taught, abounding in thanksgiving. See to it that no one takes you captive through philosophy and empty deceit, according to human tradition, according to the elemental spirits of the universe, and not according to Christ. For in him the whole fullness of deity dwells bodily, and you have come to fullness in him, who is the head of every ruler and authority. In him also you are circumcised with a spiritual circumcision, by putting off the body of the flesh in the circumcision of Christ. When you were buried with him in baptism, you were also raised with him through faith in the power of God, who raised him from the dead. And when you were dead in trespasses and the uncircumcision of your flesh, God made you alive together with him when he forgave us all our trespasses, erasing the record that stood against us with its legal demand. He set this aside, nailing it to the cross. He disarmed the rulers and authorities and made a public example of them, triumphing over them in it. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm very excited to be here. I am Lisa Winkie, as Pastor Dennis introduced earlier. I'm the Executive Director of Marion Cares. And when I talk about Marion Cares, I like to share my personal journey of faith this past year, and how deeply connected I feel to Marion Cares. A little bit about me. My first slide, please. If not us, who? And if not now, when? I feel like this has kind of been the theme of my life the past year. I was an administrator at one of the elementary schools in Marion for about 6 years, and my job involved working with kids who were behavior challenges, which I love, my favorite thing to do, but I also discovered some things about these kids and kids in Marion in general. We have children in Marion that don't eat dinner at night. They come to school in the morning and they're having some behavior issues in the classroom. And so I take them to my office. What's going on? Have you had breakfast? No. Did you have dinner last night? No. Were you able to get your medicine? No. So we've got all of these basic needs not being met, and then kids that we're trying to teach in school and create good citizens. And so I was very, very passionate about this, and I loved my position there. And then I came in the fall. I had some personal struggles with my own children and family, and Marion Cares had some personal struggles, and we lost our executive director, and so there was a huge turning point for Marion Cares. Now I'll tell you how I got involved with Marion Cares. About 2 years ago, Stacia Walker came to me, and she's the at-risk coordinator with Linmar. And she said, I want to talk to you about this organization I belong to. It's called Marion Cares. And I said, sure. I didn't know anything about it. And she came to my office and she said, this is what we do. We provide after-school programming, Bible studies, homework help, backpacks, school supplies for children in low-income and at-risk neighborhoods in Marion. And I said, I think that would fit seamlessly with what I do here. I would like to be involved in that. So this was about 2.5 years ago, and she invited me to be on the board, and I started on the board of directors. And I was a quiet member for a while, just kind of observing and figuring out what we do and how we do it. And I did some volunteering with the kids. And so I discovered quickly that there are a tremendous number of needs in Marion. We've got parents through no fault of their own have to work 2 jobs. They're working at night. Kids are left to care for siblings during the day, and so, or after school, so kids were kind of left to their own devices. They didn't have homework support, no support for mental health issues, all these needs. So Stacia got me involved on the board, and at that time I was like, well, if not me, than who. So then, when we went through these struggles, thank you, when we went through these struggles last fall, we lost our executive director, and then in January, I had to leave my position at Lynn Grove because of, like I said, some personal struggles with my family, which was heartbreaking to me because I really wanted to be able to continue to help kids in Marion. And Stacia came to me again, and she said, we're going to start interviewing for the executive director position, and I really think that you should apply. And I was like, oh, I can't, oh, I'm scared. I don't think I can do that. I can't take that on. And she hounded me for about a month and a half. And finally I said, fine. So I put my application in with my board, and they interviewed me, and they hired me. And so it's funny, you know, God works in very mysterious ways. And this seemed to all be happening through no doing of my own. And things just happened. And there I ended up being the executive director of Marion Cares. And again, if not me, then who? And so we started working and rebuilding our programming. We kind of went through a transition there. We had to close down programming for a little bit while they hired me. And then we hired a teacher who does our program. She's a fourth grade teacher at Novak. And she is amazing. I really can't take credit for what we do there every day. But Rachel Morris is a fourth grade teacher at Novak, and she designs all of our curriculum. She goes from school directly over to programming every day and helps kids with homework. She does the curriculum there, and she's really an amazing person. And so when I tell people, please come and volunteer with us, I make sure that everybody knows you really don't have to do anything but show up and help her out. She'll tell you what to do. You don't have to design or lead or do anything. Just go and help out. And just having adults there with those kids making connections is really, really an important part of Marion Cares. Some of the things that we do and some of the exciting things going on, we have after school every day, Monday through Thursday. We have in 3 neighborhoods in Marion, and then we're also branching in, by October, we're hoping to branch into Marion Independent School District too. We have, like I said, text time, which is our Bible study. We have 2 nights of homework help, and then on Wednesdays she does STEM programming, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. And so all of these kids get to do fun science experiments, and they get to learn about math and engineering and things that they don't typically, aren't typically exposed to. And so Rachel designs all of this, and then during the summer, our programming is similar, except it's during the day. We work in conjunction with FLY. You've probably heard of Feeding Lunch to Youth, sponsored by Marion Methodist. And so we work with them closely. They bring the lunches to the neighborhoods, and then we have programming there over the noon hour. So we have reading buddies there. You can read, I think there is actually some information about the Reading Buddies program in the bulletin today. And I think you can go ahead and flip to my next slide. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so now I'm going to share a little bit about the Faces of Marion Cares. You'll see up there Rachel working with kids, and they're doing a science experiment. And it was really fun. I went to visit that day, and I took that picture. She had a big barrel of plastic food. And so what the kids had to do, they were learning about nutrition, and what the kids had to do was pull out the 4 different food groups. And then they were talking about what's protein, what are carbohydrates. They talked about what are healthy foods, put the things back in the bucket that are not healthy foods. And so they were learning all about nutrition that day, and then they'll have a healthy snack to go along with the theme. And then the other one up there is, I believe they're having lunch or dinner. But it was the same day. And they are so fun to be around, those kids. So amazing. They come in, they sit around the table. Most of them don't get to sit around a table very often, but we sit around the table, we say a prayer, we eat a snack together, we have dinner, and it is just an amazing, amazing time. Okay. Here's some more. One of the themes for the school year, toward the end of the school year, was Space Mission Bible Camp. So they made their space glasses. You can see the stars all decorated in one of our apartments we have over on site at Azure. And then in one room, they had a room all decorated like a space cave. So the kids were having a really, really good time with that. And then we also collaborate with Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. I mentioned FLY already. You may or may not have heard of the Eastern Iowa Arts Academy. So we work with them, and we bring in professional musicians and artists to work with kids and expose them to various instruments and different art things that they don't ordinarily get to do. Boys and Girls Club, we work with them. We've also partnered with the ISU Extension, and Donna Smith comes in, and she gives nutrition classes. Families get to take home free cooking utensils, like 1 week might be measuring cups. And she talks about how to buy affordable, healthy groceries and how to prepare them. And she helps families with that. We've worked with HAYCAP. We partner with them to provide food for kids. One of the things that was really difficult for me was one of the first days in the spring at programming after school, we didn't have, and I should take a moment here to thank LCR, because such an important partner. We had people coming from LCR bringing meals and serving meals to kids, which was amazing. And there was one night we didn't have meals. Nobody was signed up to do it, not from here, but just in general. And this little girl said to me, "Are we having dinner tonight?" And I was like, "Oh, we don't have it tonight, honey, but I promise we will have it tomorrow." And she said, "Well, are you sure? Can you please?" She was going to go home and not have dinner. And so every day after that, I made sure that there was food there for those kids, because it's very difficult to tell a child they're not going to have dinner. So that's just kind of a side story that was really moving for me. Hy-Vee comes in and also does nutrition classes and provides foods. We have gardens that the kids work on. We also, summer is a particularly fun time. Sorry, blowing in the microphone. Summer's particularly fun for us. As I said, the summer programming is over the noon hour, so that's 4 days a week. And then on Fridays, they get to go on field trips. And some of the exciting things they've done, Rachel called me a couple weeks ago, and she said, "Well, tomorrow we're going to the Lynn County Fair." She said, "I am loading up 20 kids, and we're going to the Lynn County Fair, and I'm not going to lie, I'm a little nervous about this." And I said, "Well, I'm a little nervous for you." And she said, "I don't know how it's going to work, but we're going to give it a go." And I said, I think that's great. So these kids, they load in the vans, and they drove up to the Lynn County Fair. I don't think any of those kids had ever been to the fair. She was able to purchase carnival ride tickets. Each kid could go on 2 rides. And when she called me later to talk about how it went, she said, "Lisa, it was amazing. It was amazing." She said, I thought maybe they would be disappointed that they only got to go on 2 rides. And she said they were so gracious and grateful and thankful and had so much fun. And she was in tears almost, just from that experience and how important it was to those kids. She's also been taking them to swimming lessons. She arranged with the Linn-Mar School District and the Aquatic Center to be able to take some kids to swimming lessons, which, as you can imagine, is not something that they typically get to do. And so it's just so many fun and exciting things going on. They've gone to every Friday a new exciting place in the community, the Nature Center. She took some older kids to AirFX, and they got to jump on trampolines. And that was last week, and she sent me pictures of that, and they're just having such a great time, and it's amazing. And I think one of the big things there's Rachel and I at one of our tables, and there's a little girl that was picking flowers for us, which was awesome. And then you can go on to the next one. Thank you. The ripple effect. This is another thing that has been just extraordinarily moving for me. You can see up there, we're getting a check from Farmer State Bank, and that's my son. One of my sons who had some struggles and difficulties that I mentioned last fall. And one thing I noticed is that I encouraged him to volunteer, and he was like, "Oh, I don't want to do that, No, I think you should give this a shot. I think you would like it." And he went to volunteer, and he loved it. He loved it. And we have high school students now from both Marion Independent and Linn-Mar that come and volunteer with the kids. And it's really what I consider the ripple effect is it's not just the kids that we're serving that we are making a difference with. It's the people who come and volunteer and work with those kids and those high school students. And Rachel said, "Your son is amazing." I'm like, "Are you sure you're talking about my son?" Which, are you sure? And she's like, "No, he's great. He really loves this. He's really good at this." So that made a huge impact on me. We've got a couple of statements. I'm not sure if you can read it. It's kind of small, but a couple of statements from the kids that attend Marion Cares about how much fun it is and what they like to do there. And I have another story to share with you. One of my very best friends also happens to be a teacher at Novak, and we were talking about Marion Cares, and she said, one of her students goes to Marion Cares programming, and she said, it's the strangest thing, but ever since she started going to Marion Cares programming, we've seen a significant difference in her behavior at school. So she's going and making connections after school with adults and learning things and learning life skills, and it is carrying over to her life at school as well. And to me, that's extraordinarily important, because she's this particular student, and it's not just her, is going to enjoy better success in school and in life, and it has just turned out to be an amazing experience for them and for us. Lots of great partners in our community help us out. I mentioned Lutheran Church of the Resurrection is a huge, important supporter of Marion Cares. Marion Methodist, I was just speaking over there this morning, and I said, "I'm going over to the Lutherans," and they said, "Well, we got to be better than the Lutherans." And I said, "Well, I don't know. They gave me more time than you did." It's a lot of fun, and I've gotten to meet some amazing people and lots of leaders in the community and lots of people that want to help. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of our needs here. There's some. One of those is the library. She took them to the library, and you can see those are our kids that were called up to volunteer and demonstrate at one of the library programs. That's a science experiment in the middle. They did an egg drop over at the apartment complex from up above. She said, "I wasn't really sure how this would go, but they had a great time, and they dropped eggs on the grass, dropped them on, what's going to happen to the egg if we do this and that." The third picture up there is Reading Buddies, and we're doing that this summer. We have volunteers come and read with students while they're having their lunch. Students can read to them, they can read to students, and then it's called Change a Child's Story. We work with them, and they provide books for students, so then the children can take books home to keep, books of their own. So we've just had so much fun this summer doing so much for these kids, and really for us, it's been amazing. This backpacks, I was going to tell you a little bit about as well. Like Pastor Dennis said, you'll see baskets out there with cards. Some of the cards you might see a white or one of these. We've tried to make it as simple as possible, because I have 6 children of my own, and I've registered them for school many years and bought school supplies, and I even have trouble figuring out what they need and when they, what supplies go to which kid and what school. So we made it very easy for people. You'll see a card, and it will say the gender of the student and what grade they're in on the front, with specific instructions on what to do with the items after you purchase them, and you return them to your home church by August 7th. And then the back, we have the specific supply list for that student, for that grade, for that school, listed for you. So you don't have to sort through the 10 lists and figure out which list should this child get. So if you would pick up a card and head over to Walmart when you're done here, and you'll have your supply list, and we can fill backpacks for kids. The deadline is August 7th. On the 13th, we will be having our backpack event. We would love to have you come and help. That's a fun thing. We go to each of the neighborhoods with the backpacks that we have all ready for the kids, and the kids come to the community center at their neighborhood, and they get to pick up their backpack, and it's exciting, and it's fun, and you get to see the kids, see them get their stuff, and it's a really, really good time, and it helps kids be excited about going back to school, and they've got their new supplies, and it's just a really good time. So if you're interested in helping with that, we can use all the bodies and hands that you can provide, packing bags, distributing them. It's pretty easy. We give you all the instructions, and you just hand out bags to smiling kids. So if you're interested in doing that, there's contact information for that as well. The other thing that I also want to mention, if there's lots of ways for you to help, and not just monetarily, and not, like I said, you do not need to lead a group. We will give you everything you need. The most important thing is for adults to connect with kids and for kids to have these adult connections. It's an amazing experience. I think I've said that 15 times now, but we would love to have you come and sit with kids and read with them or listen to them read. Or sometimes we even need help with our gardens, or we need light maintenance. We have 3 apartments over at Azure that are designated for our programs. We do cleaning there and painting. You can cook casseroles for us. There's just so many ways to get involved. You can drive the field trip van. So many ways for you to get involved, and we would really encourage you to do that. I think people don't really understand the amount of poverty in Marion, and I feel it's my mission and my job to spread the word. I have some statistics about the number of children that are living at or near the poverty level, and it's amazing. We're talking about 30 to 40% of kids in 3 neighborhoods that are living very close to or at poverty level. And that's a huge amount. If you think about one school with over 500 kids, and almost 40% of those kids are struggling, and their families are struggling, that's a huge amount of children in our community that need your help. So I am so very grateful that you have invited me here today and given me this opportunity to talk about Marion Cares. I hope I didn't seem too scattered, because I do jump around a lot, but I want to thank you very much and encourage you to get involved. Call me anytime or email me. And again, thank you for having me today.